everybody. All right, so today we're going to talk about some books that might help you on your rewilding journey. These are some that have helped us. We have many. We'll just share some over time. And I think it's good to begin at the beginning. And this has been huge for both of us. So this is Newcomb's Wildflower Guide. And I'm going to talk to you about why here in a moment. But just to give you a little background info, when I was a teenager, high school I think, I was wearing Save the Humpback Whale t-shirts and Save the Trout t-shirts, and I was super interested in nature. I got Backpacker magazine, National Geographic Traveler, there goes Lucas, Outside magazine. I also subscribed to the Nature Conservancy, World Wildlife Fund, National Wildlife Federation, and I was just working summers, but it was really important to me to spend those hard-earned dollars supporting nature groups. And I noticed that there was some difference, of course, between the outdoor recreation side and the conservation side. It's still that way. I'm still hoping that there's going to be more meshing over time. Our cat is just sprinting around. And that outdoor recreation picks up more on the conservation side, since it's absolutely critical. Lucas. And so let's just hope for that, because it is critical. But why I'm starting with Newcomb's is because that is how I started learning plants. I had plant systematics in college. I was a biology major. I had a lot of ecology classes. But it wasn't until I started working at a nature preserve in my hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana, that I really got to spend time with these plants. I was in the forest and I was seeing them all, and I didn't know them, and it was thrilling to witness all these new lives, and I wanted to find out who they were. And this is the book that helped me. It uses a dichotomous key, which at first might seem a little intimidating, but once you get used to it, it's not. Now, this book is definitely outdated, and there's been a lot of name changes, switching of families, and I know that there's a lot of plant apps out there now. I have used some, and others that have not been so great. So use what works for you, but definitely make sure that what you're seeing is what you are being told you're seeing, because then you can love the plant even more. Okay. Then, as I was learning the plants, learning the birds, learning the trees, and recognizing where I was from, Fort Wayne, Indiana, used to have a lot of different habitat than what is now there. There are very fertile soils in that area, and so there's a lot of agriculture. Well, then I got really interested in rewilding. So at the beginning, I learned it as wildlife gardening, gardening for wildlife. Still, it is land restoration. There's many names for it, but rewilding is pretty cool if you don't think too much about the term wild, which sometimes I do, but I'm an overthinker. So I then discovered Doug Tallamy, and he gave some real solid steps for what I could do personally to help this planet that I loved so very much, and I wanted to have action in my life. It's a critical component for me and also critical for the world. And so the first one, Bringing Nature Home by Doug Tallamy, and then followed that up with Nature's Best Hope, also by Doug Tallamy. He has some really great talks online that you can find. I'm going to put a lot of links in the description if you need them. But this talks about why native plants are so important. What are the best plants that you can plant on your property? And it was really quite life-changing. Steve and I have done rewilding everywhere we've lived, and that includes another house. It includes multiple apartments, and I'm sure most of it's gone, so then that ends up being the part to figure out next is how do we protect the rewilding that we've done. We need a new model, I believe, and I think that we'll get there, I hope, within our lifetime. So Doug Tallamy, highly recommend. Then some things started really kind of changing, because everything that I read And then the way that I saw humans in the world was kind of like we were outside of nature. And sometimes we were an abomination for nature. And so then you start wondering, well, how are we here and why are we here and why are we behaving in this way for this world that is essential for our survival? And then it started shifting as I was reading some things and thinking that humans are nature too. Now, that doesn't explain away our destructive behaviors. That is solely on greed. So we need to address greed, but not here. That needs to be addressed within our society. And I came across some readings and this book by Kat Anderson on tending the wild. And this is her study of indigenous peoples in California and the things that they did for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, way pre-white arrival and colonialism, and the way they managed the land. So a lot of the stories that I read were white people arrived here and it was untouched, and yes, there were some indigenous people, but largely everything was old growth and it was just nature and no humans, and that's just not really what is being shown in the historical record at all. So there were a lot more indigenous people here than we talk about. I don't know why that is. There are so many challenges and problems in that area, and so I want to thank all of the indigenous people for the work that they have done and continue to do, because wow, this is a big country. It's a fantastic country, and the horrors that you have survived are unspeakable. I'm grateful to be here with these plants. And so this book was really instrumental in going, okay, I am part of nature and I can help tend nature. It's not actually incorrect for me to be selecting for some plants or for me to grow food in a certain area or for me to utilize wood. It just totally changed everything. The plants are what changed, though, as I was reading about this stuff, because these are native plants, the plants that came here or that lived here for millennia. A lot of the plants that I learned for eating and so on came from Europe, and so my heritage is largely German. I'm not sure what generation we came over in, but the plants in Germany are different than the plants here in North America. So this was huge. It's really cool to flip through. And then one day, as I was looking for videos on this topic of rewilding and native plants, which I can find some on, and there's a few of you on there that I'm so grateful you are using your voice, because there's way more videos on van life than rewilding, and I can't get it. Like, I get freedom and hiking and exploring, but you also have nature at home. You don't have to mow the grass. So that part is baffling to me. And so I search around, try to find people doing interesting things, especially doing both, getting out, exploring natural ecosystems, working to mimic them at their house. And I came across a really cool YouTube video that I will link to, if I can find it again, in the description. And it was by Jared Rosenbaum. And then I found his book, Wild Plant Culture. And so he's a very interesting guy because he has really studied ethnobotany and also botany. And so he knows his plants, but he also knows historical uses of these plants. And to read about them and to learn about them in this fully different way, supporting Kat Anderson's book. He actually referenced that book. So then you start getting in this little world of information that is linked, and you go, wow, I'm onto something here. And so I recommend this book as well. He's in the New Jersey Pine Barrens, but a lot of the plants are native to the East, and the ethics and the ethos at the beginning I think are very applicable anywhere. Just continuing that thought of humans being part of nature is critical. It really is, for how our planet can survive and for how we can survive happily and well and not feel a huge guilt for our behaviors that we have done here. And some of you don't, some of you do. We all carry it a little bit differently. So I'll keep sharing books over time, but these are some that have been really helpful lately, and I can't underestimate how important learning the plants are. I have a long ways to go. I've forgotten some that I learned 20, 25 years ago because I've also been learning other things. But knowing who they are, knowing what plant families they are in and who they are related to so that you can say in the field, oh, okay, they have opposite leaves and 5 parts. They're going to be related to blah, blah, blah. It's really cool. Then you start seeing all these relationships, and then you also can start watching who uses who. I'm going to add one book. One. If I can find it. Okay, this is the one I'm going to add. I probably talked about this one before, but when you're learning plants and then you start tying it into relationships, one of the easiest ways to see the relationships is with caterpillars, and it is so fun. So in the back of this book, it tells you, okay, if I find a caterpillar on a certain plant, what might it be? It gives you the pages those caterpillars are on. So it's a super easy way to start witnessing relationships besides birds eating seeds and things like that. It gives you a really easy way to start with insects. Okay, y'all. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. I appreciate you.